Hey, welcome to a little brain project behind the scenes. This is 11.1. Couple things. I dislike how I write my ones. I just now noticed this. I write them really annoyingly. Otherwise, they look like L's, and I don't like that either, so I gotta find a good in between. Second off, there's this huge thing. I've, I've just been debating throwing this away. That's like inside the whiteboard, that stuff. So I have other whiteboards, but none that are actually held up like this. So if it breaks like the last one, it just snapped. We'll see. Regardless, we are doing this speech on selflessness. That's going to be this month, talking about selflessness. Isn't it so ironic? But more than that, we got to figure out two main things. And the third, well, three main things, but two main things first. So, selflessness, right? We have the main message. I'll probably write that in different colors. Right here. Oy. The main message is pretty clear. I've been saying it throughout the course of several of these different, it's probably the fourth time I've even done a session on this, which, now saying that, it'd be nice to go back and look at how I approached this topic over and over again, because I did it in different ways, so possibly finding some culmination, and you'll see what I mean. The main message, which I'm sure I've carried out in every single little speech, is being selfless is selfish. Now, the hard part is distinguishing this from a good speech to just a very hot take, because this idea, ignore that, this idea of selflessness, being selfish, is something that I've had for a long time. Of course, you've seen it through the different speeches, but more than that, I have to say, sorry, Captain Crunch is just going antsy right now, going crazy all over. You know what? Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. I'm just making sure Captain Crunch doesn't yak himself, which I'm so scared he will do all the time. I don't trust him at all anymore. I digress. Main message being selfless is selfish. The hard part distinguishing between this is a hot take and an actual speech is what I'm struggling with right now, and hence this kind of session, the beginning. Now, knowing my speech format, right, I go into the main topic, main message, definition, interpretation. I have it all up here: definition, interpretation, icebreaker, why this, second wind, and then the beginning. I gotta like push him off so he doesn't just yak himself a new one. My goodness, just chew your food. He doesn't chew, he just straight swallows it, and then it's too much and he throws up. He doesn't digest the food. I digress. The beginning is what I'm struggling with, because I have this main message. I know this is something that I feel passionate about, that I want to speak about, but the beginning is supposed to be the beginning of the rest of everyone's life. So this is supposed to be the idea of what you will be leaving this speech with, right? And that's what I'm struggling with. If I convey this point through data, through science, through theatric interpretation, through motivation, whatever it is, and emphasize this point, why am I saying it, right? Why? Why are they hearing me speak? What is the point? What should they leave with thinking about? What's the beginning of the rest of their life? I wrote down some stuff. I believe it's actually in here, or maybe it's in. I save a lot of notes throughout the day, to be honest. Here we go. Is actually, well, no, let's for the gray zone. God, I just have too many notes everywhere. But I do love the beauty of pausing. I'll find it. I actually remembered. I didn't do anything on that because I wrote it on a different speech topic, which turned into something different than the speech topic, and you'll see that in a future session. But I am going to now try to really just voice this out with the limited time I have for why. I have the main message. I have the idea that being selfless is selfish. And maybe just describing it hopefully can ascertain an answer as to why the public should know about this, right? Again, all an interpretation. This is just my point of view. You know, I believe the world is how I see it because it's how I see it. You know? You see it differently. Of course you do, because you have different eyeballs than I do. You have different life than me. I'm not trying to push any propaganda. I digress. I see it into 4 parts, and maybe it'll be good to write this out. 4 parts. So, in this little triangle, and I'm sure, I think like politics does stuff like this, there is those who are right here in this. I already used brown default, who think that they are doing selfish actions, right? Think that all of those selfless actions are selfish actions, and the main idea behind the whole idea. Jesus, I do everything but actually say it, don't I? Just been 10 minutes of me doing nothing. God, we're gonna get to it. Here we go. By doing a selfless act and then telling somebody about it, or by believing in your own mind that that was a selfless act, it then turns into a selfish act. Think about if I remember I used this example in other speeches. I talk about giving a man $10, right? And then I tell someone later on, I tell Sally, hey Sally, I just gave a guy $10. Now, it does not matter whether I gave the guy $10 because I wanted to tell somebody, or I gave a guy $10 because I actually felt the goodness in my heart. None of those 2 decisions matter because I then told somebody, so that action therefore led to this reaction where I wanted approval from someone, or I wanted recognition for said action. It is a then selfish act. Now this point very specifically is highly argued with my friend. We have long standing debates because I'll go into it more. Say I give $10 to this random person. I don't even tell Sally, but I think to myself, I gave $10 to someone, and because of that, I am a good person, right? Because I gave $10 to someone. Well, now, even if you weren't thinking that beforehand, or if you were, it doesn't matter, because then you praised yourself in the aspect of giving $10 to someone makes you a good person. Stay with me. I know, it is a little frustrating to hear this ideal, but you have to understand this point of view. There is no one that is truly selfless. I mean, I'm sure it probably has existed in some point of the world, but I have never met a single person in my day-to-day life that has done truly selfless actions. If you were a selfless person, if I were a selfless person, I would give all the money that I have to help people less fortunate than me. All the actions that I would do would be towards people less fortunate, right? People who need the stuff more than I need the stuff. And if I would do so, I would give my everything. I would dedicate my entire life, give all my life savings, all my money, give Captain Crunch away to someone who needs a pet more than I do. Like, there's always someone in life who is struggling in every single thing worse than you. And you know that's true. We all know that's true. You see homeless people walking down the street. That's the reality. You walk by, you might give $1. Why didn't you give $2? Right? Why didn't you give $5? Why didn't you, if you were really a good person, why didn't you help them out more than $1? And so this is where we're going to hold on to this, right? This idea of being a selfish person, right? Versus people who think that they are truly selfless, right? This idea where you kind of stay blind to this interpretation, right? It doesn't matter that I give $1. It doesn't matter that I, spit on them as I walked away because I did something. I'm truly a selfless person. In my interpretation, I don't believe that's true. Everything you do is a selfish act, if not for self-praise, then praised by others. And if you were truly selfish, truly selfless, you would do everything in your power in order to do it, but you don't. People say, why? Well, I also have to look out for myself. Okay, then you're being selfish. That's the reality. The whole idea that we are not completely selfish, egotistical assholes is our own justification for living, right? We have to think we're good people. Otherwise, we think we're bad people. And if we think we're bad people, then it won't be good. That's just the truth. And quite honestly, that might actually be the beginning. I'll put right up here. We have to think we're good people. Otherwise, it'll be bad. And this is the hard part though. It's a very daunting point of view, right? Philosophy, I'm not sure, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not even finished yet fully, because you have this idea, right? Split right here between people who think that their actions that are so-called selfless are actually selfish, and there are people who go, actually, the things I'm doing are selfless. I'm doing it for others. Like, I donated to that person. Just saying, if you try to prove a point by saying about an action you did, it therefore constitute that action as being selfish because you just want to get recognized for that action. But I digress. Within this, there are people who still try, and that's on this left side. Just put try, and then don't try. And I have a very easy ranking of the people, right? A truly selfless person, which I don't think, again, like, there may be a man who actually, or, a human being who's actually devoted their entire life to giving to others, has worked every single day to help the less fortunate, like, has given the food, has allowed themselves to starve, allowed themselves out of housing. Like, you have to think about the most extreme version without any care towards self, and that is selfless. But something that doesn't exist for the day-to-day human being, right? Say, for instance, you buy a candy for yourself. Say, for instance, you allow yourself to get some sleep instead of going, to help deliver soup bowls, or giving a person $1 instead of $5. All these different actions. That's most of the day-to-day people. Within that, there are a lot of selfless people, who don't try at all. And this right here is a very, very easy number 4. This is the worst type of people. These are the people who think, I am a selfless person and I do things for others all the time and I am so great and I do so much, and then they don't do anything, right? They pass by homeless people when they walk down the street, right? They see charities, they don't donate. They don't do this, they don't do that. Think of any selfless act. People who claim they're selfless but then still don't try, right? These two, weirdly enough, well, I think honestly the third worst one is over here. People who are selfish and don't try. Um, because these are the opposite people, which I know I sound like, but you have to understand all this to understand where I'm at, right, on this. These are the people who say every single action you do is selfish. It's nothing you do is a truly selfless act. And therefore, they use that reasoning to not help anyone, right? It's almost as bad as people who think they're actually good people. No, it's the people who say, I'm a shit person, and because I'm a shit person, I'm not going to do anything at all, right? I'm gonna let these people starve because I'm already a bad person anyway, right? It's kind of like someone who breaks one rule and then says, oh, it's okay because I've already broken a rule. So the rest of it's all justified. I think that's not as bad as, again, this person, but still pretty shitty of an ideology, right? Just because you're a bad person means other people's lives should still be worse. And now you'll get into where I'm seeing this. Why? Why stop recording? You know, good question. Glad we're asking the right questions. We're still on people who believe that all selfless actions are selfish, and they try at the same time. And there are people who believe that being selfless is truly capable, right? And they try. I think these are both kind of ranked 1 to 2 intermittently. It quite honestly, between this, I think it truly just depends on how you think. I'll probably have a clearer view. I'm a little biased, okay? I think that if you believe, and this is me, I'm speaking about how my current state is, I believe that I am a selfish person, right? I pass people that are homeless on the sidewalk. I don't donate to charity. I have all these. I'm scared to even press the record button because it'll probably cut out again if I turn around. All those people, you can see the void right here. All those people who believe that selfless is a possibility, who believes that being a good person is still capable even though they don't do the most. They think by doing this amount they're still being good, and they try at the same time. I think it's still pretty good, and I think some people view that as the best option. I'm biased. This is why I choose the selfish option as number 1, because I believe that I'm a selfish person. Again, I don't donate to charity. I pass by homeless people walking down the street. I have all these material possessions that I don't give away. I don't do this stuff. I have this stuff for me. I am selfish in this way. I believe we're all selfish in this way. We all have this stuff, and when we're truly selfless, we wouldn't, but we do. And at the same time, almost kind of paradoxically, I try. I try to make an effort. It's not that I pass by every single homeless person and give them, give them $100 bills, but I try to give some money when I can. I know that I can give more money. I know that I don't. Right? And I think that's the reality that people really need to see in this, is that speaking back to morality, the last speech, we all have this morality timer, almost like balance, in terms of, okay, it's this much to give to a valet, it's this much tip money to give to a server, right? I'm going to do this act of service. That's good enough, right? That's what justifies it to you being a good person. We all have this balance. And I'll write this over here. I keep grabbing purple for some reason. But this balance of being a good person, I think is a pretty good point to actually keep on this. I can use for later. As for the rest of this, again, look, I'll tell you this. The big argument that I have with my friend, and the big reason this is kind of 1 to 2, is because, to some extent, I don't think that a lot of humans, and this sounds really pretentious, but I think it's the truth, unfortunately, are not mentally capable of holding the burden that they are a bad person. I think unfortunately that's the truth. There are people that if they were to really look at themselves and realize, I hold all these potatoes, I own a speaker, and I own this bowl that I bought way too much for, and I have a wallet with money in my account, and there are people starving in these other countries, and starving right outside in your neighborhood, right on the streets, sleeping in like pure snow, right? And that's happening every single day while you're doing nothing about it. Quite honestly, I think people would go mentally insane. It drives them to this force of, I have to be a purely selfless person and do all of this, which is a really difficult life to live. But if that's how you're gonna live, that's gonna be you being a selfless person. That's what it is. Or you have to face the reality that you're a selfish person, right? That the things you own and the things you have are yours, and you could give it to others. You could give it to others who need it more, but you don't. And that's the truth. It's a harsh reality of selflessness, which is essentially what I want the speech to be about. Not a fun speech to have, but I think a necessary one. I think this is, again, I feel really passionate about this, but also it's something that like a lot of people live day to day in this 3 and 4, right? A lot of people really think that they're just really good people and they do nothing, right? Think about, not like billionaires, but think about like millionaires who just don't give any money away, right? People who own like 6 homes, and there are people that are homeless outside each one, right? And they don't do anything at all to help any people less fortunate, purely, but they think they're selfless. They think they're still good people. And then there's people that, I'm just a shitty, horrible person. But you know what? I can't do that because I'm a shitty, horrible person. I can't help you out because I'm a shitty, horrible person. I'm gonna keep all my money for myself because I'm so horrible. And so it's like self-deprecation gets like intensified through this thought process that it almost is like your cheat to life. If I say I'm a shitty person and then I proceed to do this by doing shitty things, then of course, because it explains it, I'm a shitty person. I think it's stupid, to be honest with you. So maybe the real beginning, and we can have a separate one over here, is to have over here to go towards 1 or 2 in your life. Stay away from 3 or 4. Hello? I spelled stay with a W. That's weird. From 3 and 4. Oh my goodness. English teacher, my ass. So I got both of those. I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna call it right there. Again, on time. Please look at the board. The idea of the main message is very clear, and the why, I think the why is good. The beginning is good for this. Like, this would be the main message that I would keep for people to go, because it's really hard to not end this on a self-deprecating note. The fact that people would even in the future pay to see me speak is kind of a very selfish act, but I want people to do it. But it's the truth. The fact that I am getting paid to speak to others instead of doing it for free where they could keep their money to help the less fortunate, it's a pretty selfish act. But again, it all goes into this big idea. I don't want to end it on an ultra negative note. You can still have a selfish outlook and still try. I do it, I still try. Right? I don't just give up and say I'm a shitty person, so all the shitty things that I do make sense. No, I'm a shitty person, I do shitty things, but I also do good things. Right? I don't think I'm a good person, but I still try. And you could also have this idea where you do think you're a good person, and you do balance it on this day to day, but you actually have to do something, right? You can't just say this and do nothing. You have to actually push yourself to help people. I think that's the only allowable way that's okay, right? If I say, I'm a good person, but you don't do anything, no, you're not a good person. I don't think you're a good person in general, but on top of it, you're still not even doing stuff. There's not even proof that you did it, which further proof shows that you're selfish, but regardless, have something. I digress. We have to think we're good, otherwise it'll be bad. I'll incorporate in the speech, but it's gotta be in the middle of kind of a lower note mixed with like data and stuff like this. I'll look up research studies. I'm gonna write this down. Look up research studies on if people think they're good or not. Thinking they are good or no. God, I gotta get much better at shorthand writing because it takes forever to write. Holy. And then we'll have 11.2. I'll really mask it out in the layout for the next one. I just wanted to get sure you have the main message, the beginning, and then you have you got it right there. Not icebreaker, the why this, the truth, right? The statistical information aspect. So now that I have those three, I can officially start. That'll be all. Captain Crunch, you came at the right time. What is this? Alright, tell them bye, and also tell people to, I don't know, get me a better camcorder. Stare into their soul. Give me a better camcorder. That was good. That was good. Alright, you got it. It just fell. Till next time. Oh.